Welcome to Discourse. Today we're going to be discussing The Cathedral of Quiet Power by Evan Yo. In a world that profits from your fragility, Evan Yo offers a weapon disguised as wisdom. The Cathedral of Quiet Power is a blueprint for building a life that cannot be bent, bought, or broken. This is not about becoming louder, it's about becoming unshakable. Strength doesn't shout, it endures.
Yeah, so this book is part memoir, philosophical, self-help, but not in the typical sense like a self-help book that tells you how to live your life. And
definitely,
right?
He says over and over throughout the book how like he has a rebellious nature. He's the glitch in the system. So I feel like this is very much so in the same aspect as that. Like he doesn't really follow the status quo with how he writes this book. Because it is a self-help, but I also feel like it's more of like a tough love situation.
Yeah, and he calls it like a creative, real-life experiences that he shares with the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the beginning, he has an interesting note. This book is not for the fragile. It will not comfort you. It will not save you. It is for those who have died inside polite success and decided not to rot quietly. If you're looking for inspiration, look elsewhere.
It's funny though that he says, if you're looking for inspiration, look elsewhere, because I really feel at the end of every chapter, he does this really awesome summary of the chapter, and then he calls it a doctrine. Mm-hmm. And then he has basically a call to action, what to do, and he gives you maybe some prompts, and then he follows it up with a question, right? Mm-hmm. And I really feel like, especially in the summaries, he has a lot of good, like, one-liners or something that would be on, like, one of those inspirational quotes of the day situation. But it's more of, like, not like the happy-go-lucky type of one with, like, rainbows and sunshine and, like, spiritual or, you know.
It's like that cat that's falling. Let's hang in there,
oh, yeah.
But for adults.
Yeah, and it's a little more intense.
Yeah, so it is inspirational in a way. It's just tough love in a way. Like, why? Here's my experience.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Man, and yeah, he's been through some stuff.
The core theme of the book is how modern life's pressures, such as the noise, burnout from crazy working schedules, societal expectations, how they break people down. And the book goes on to argue for finding the quiet strength rather than the performance-driven success.
Burnout is one that a lot of people face.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter what country you live in or what. Like, that is a real thing for everyone.
Yeah, it's good that you brought that up, because he actually left the country, got
numerous times
to work somewhere else, but he just found that it's the same story, just different language.
Exactly.
Same system, same everything. But it's real. A common theme was the burnout part, and just the societal expectations. You work hard, climb the ladder, get rich, and put all your time and effort into this company. But at the end of the day, when you're burnt out, when you can't go anymore, they could care less.
Right.
Like,
they're in it for them, not for you and your success. Mm-hmm. And so when you're building all these people, whether it be people or a company up, I mean, they're going to hit the top and they're not going to really care how they got there.
Yeah.
They're not going to see you as like this hard-working, totally selfless person who helped them get there, right? At least not most people.
Yeah, not in the big corporate world.
Yeah, not when it comes to money.
And a lot of relationships, right, were impacted for the author. Mm-hmm. Significant others, friends, family. Like, Jesus, how many times just personal people like yourselves, like, have you ever missed someone's wedding, someone's funeral, just seeing someone at the hospital or a big game because you had to meet the deadline, you had to put those extra hours, you had to do stuff for the company, and you felt good because you were seen as a leader, you were up there. But then 2 years later, you get let go, whatever happens.
And all of it was basically for nothing. So
yeah, and even someone at my work told me that it's kind of dark, but it's true. It's like if you get hit by a bus today and you die, you're gonna be replaced tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like it's rough, it's tough, but it's true. Because
Yeah.
the mission has to go on whether you're there or not.
Right.
You're only important while you're there. And this book gives you a lot of different experiences and situations that you kind of see it.
So throughout each of the chapters, there's this sort of back and forth between himself and the recollection of a memory or of a moment in time where he was experiencing something and then he learned something. But there's a back and forth between him and the mentor, almost kind of breaking down that specific situation and what was going on, and like the emotions and what he was basically giving and not gaining anything from. So his mentor was really helping him process the negatives of these moments for him to grow,
Leading him to the good outcome, right? How to proceed in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the mentor that we talk about, he kind of likes that the author starts the book or starts that whole relationship with the worst day of his life.
His rock bottom,
His
yeah.
rock bottom, where a lot of people, they tend to forget that or just hide it and just talk about, I'm successful now, and here's where I'm at.
Yeah, all the positives, not
Yeah.
the really bad negative
Not
stuff.
where you started. And the author starts there. And so I'm going to read a quote about that between the mentor and then how that expands into the author learning more about himself.
Yeah, and I also think it's important to note that to remember where you began and the journey of getting to even where you are. I think that's super important. And I think the author kind of brings that up in a lot of ways where he didn't know anything about IT and he taught himself all kinds of stuff, literally like overnight in some cases, proving that you don't necessarily have to have like go to the schools, do the degrees, get the certificates, which are just a plain piece of paper. You know what I mean? It's just a paper with some words on it.
Titles.
Yeah, and he talks about that a lot, titles and tags and labels and all these things. And all of it really is, when it comes down to it, meaningless.
But apparently in big corporate cultures, like that really impacts. Like you're a great worker, but because you don't have a title, he even mentioned he did a lawyer's job once.
Yeah, and like he knew what he was doing, but
Yeah.
because he didn't have the title, it really didn't matter.
He got a thanks.
Yeah,
Same
a quiet
pay.
one, a quiet thanks.
Quiet thanks from his own direct manager, not the corporation, not the
Yeah.
CEO.
Yeah.
And the lawyers, they ended up getting the praise and the money, of course.
But I like that he kind of acknowledges that, right? Like sometimes the people who aren't necessarily qualified are the ones who are doing a lot of the work and just not getting the praise. But that you can also build yourself up from nothing to be something so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, as long as you prove it to yourself and you got that.
And you keep going, the strength. I mean, I feel like this book, even though it's not your typical self-help, it's definitely motivational for sure.
Good, said the mentor. Most people want to tell their story starting from the first victory. They edit out the shame, but shame is a powerful teacher. It taught you that indifference is a weapon. I had to look that up because usually when you hear indifference, it kind of, a lot of people out there, society puts it in a negative ways, right? Like you don't care about the company, you don't care about the people.
Not a team player.
Yeah, not a team player. But indifference is just a state of being neutral. Like whatever happens, you don't really care, and at the same time, you're not overly excited.
Right.
Right?
You're just doing the job.
Yeah, and in this setting, like a professional setting, that is pretty much a worker coming into work and doing everything they're asked to do, but at the end of the day, they don't really care if the company fails or is successful, right?
It's like I came in, I did my job, so that's a win for me.
Yeah, so that's being indifferent. Showing up,
Yeah.
that's important, being present, showing up, doing your job, but not being like that brown noser, just overly doing too much, putting in your life 50 hours a week.
Going above and beyond. Like, it's important to be a team player and to have, like, a sense of, like, I want to do great at my job, but also, like, overdoing it is super unnecessary.
Sometimes it'll get you places.
Sometimes.
But a lot of these experiences and situations that the author shares, he ends up getting others up there, raising them, making them leaders, but then they just forget him.
Throw him under the bus.
The company doesn't care about him. They disband his team.
Right.
And it's like all that work for what?
Right.
Unless you're your own CEO, you own a small business, then yeah, definitely put in all that work. But if you think you're going to climb the ladder just by putting your life in there, and I've been burnt out before, it's not nice. You're exhausted. The author mentions that a few times in different situations. Exhausted, lack of sleep, just always, his brain was always on to work, where it impacted a lot of his life, and that's
personal, like loss of relationships, all kinds of things.
Yeah, or just time.
Time.
Especially time.
Yeah.
Money cannot buy friends or keep family members here.
True friends.
Yeah, true friends.
Let's be more specific.
So yeah, I just had to look that up, and in the end, it's like indifference is strategic to emotional health. The main point that I got personally is money in all these different situations means nothing, especially if it puts you in negative situations all the time.
Yeah, like you're constantly giving and not gaining really anything other than money. I mean,
your life suffers, your health suffers.
When we hear the phrase quiet power, like what comes to mind?
To me, imagining it is like a lion just walking in between his pack and like a pack of hyenas, right? Like they all know who he is, they know what he stands for, like they respect that. He's not yelling, he's not roaring. So that's in the animal world. For humans, it's like me walking into a meeting, not saying anything, just listening, while the people that want to talk, there's always those people blurting everything out because they want to be heard. And at the end of that, they turn to me and be like, hey, what do you think? What are your thoughts? That's quiet power, where people respect what you have to say and they know you show up and you got value without you announcing it.
Yeah, when I first thought of it, I just kind of figured, at first I wasn't too sure what it meant. Like at the very, very beginning, I thought like, oh, is it someone who just like is a strong person but doesn't talk very much? But then after reading the book, you start to realize like, no, there is power within being not necessarily up in the front lines of things, like behind the scenes, making things happen and being important, a vital, or like the people who want to be leaders, like you're talking about, the lion. But I feel like people who don't necessarily want to be leaders always end up being a leader, and they're more so quiet. They're not so like showy, offy, and they take everybody's skill sets and suggestions to heart. But then at the end comes in and stands firm with their decisions, or is able to like stay calm in situations.
Yeah, they're a solid foundation.
Right.
We're the loud.
The loudest people were like, I'm just so amazing at my job. They're usually like not doing their job, period. Those are usually those people.
Don't do their job, or as soon as they fail once, they quit. Or the quiet ones, they find a way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is true. Especially in sports, like in combat sports. Aside from Ali, he's great. He was a talker. You have the guy that's all tatted up. He's blabbing, he's talking, he's trying to intimidate. And you see this quiet guy, just silent confidence. Like, that is a leader.
That speaks way louder. Yeah, than somebody just yapping. Yeah,
and this is what the book does, right? It gives you those questions like, what do you think about this, or where do you see yourself in this situation?
Yeah, I think my favorite part of the book were the chapters at the very end was the doctrines and the call to action, really. Because I felt like it could be like a daily log. And even at the very, very end, he does kind of go through and he almost helps guide you in like a... You know how those like some of those self-help books have like daily logs where they have questions and things that you answer and reflect on, and you think about the day, what you could have done better, or your feelings, things like that. He kind of does that at the end, and he's like, look, for the next week I want you to do this, this, and this every day. For every day I want you to write this down, or I want you to think about this, or I want you to reevaluate this, or like really dissect things. And like this interaction with someone, did it bring any sort of value to you, or was it you just bringing value to them? Like it was.
It's true.
And then also more towards the end, it got more so like, let's start making our inner self more stabilized, more balanced, more harmonized, with our principles, which he goes on to use the metaphor of the cathedral as like your body, right? I know people always say like my body's my temple, but I like more so the cathedral aspect, because it brings in more of a sanctuary within yourself, something that is a safe space for not just a safe space for yourself, but a place you can come to and kind of think internally, is this moment in my life going to bring any value to me? Be sure to check out The Cathedral of Quiet Power by Evan Yo.